Welcome everyone. Today I am giving you guys my top 10 running backs in the NFL heading into the 2025-2026 season. I've done quarterbacks, I've done receivers, now it's time for the running backs. If you guys want me to do the top 10 tight ends, top 10 cornerbacks, top 10 edge rushers, let me know in the comments down below. I want to get your feedback on my list for running backs and what else you guys want to see. Anyway, I have a few honorable mentions. This list is really hard to make. There are so many good running backs that can go for 1,000 yards in the NFL, but I had to narrow it down to 10. So my honorable mentions are Bucky Irving, Devon Achane, David Montgomery, and Alvin Kamara. There's more people that I'd want to shed light to. There's guys like Kenneth Walker, like James Conner, like Ashton Genty, that I think could either be close to top 10 or at least on the honorable mention list. I just put these four guys in my honorable mentions because I think they're the four closest to being top 10. Kamara, a bit past his prime, still can get you 1,000 yards and upwards of 400 receiving yards. David Montgomery, the knuckles to Jir Gibbs is Sonic. Devon Achane, one of the fastest, most explosive guys in the league. And Bucky Irving, one of my favorite running backs and one of my favorite players in the NFL. We just haven't seen enough from Bucky for me to say he's a top 10 guy for sure. Like I said, this is likely my most controversial ranking out of all the rankings I've done, besides the top couple of spots. But let's get into the top 10. Starting off with number 10, I have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones on the Vikings last year had his most productive and best rushing season in his entire career. He did get the most amount of carries in his entire career, I believe, but that doesn't negate from the fact that he had his best season as a pro. Was a big reason why the Vikings were as good as they were last year. Definitely helped Sam Darnold get to 4,000 yards and almost MVP level quarterback. At the number 9 spot, I have Joe Mixon on the Houston Texans. Joe Mixon is more underrated now than I feel like he's ever been. He is going to go really well with Nick Chubb in that Texans backfield. I wouldn't be surprised if he fell out of the top 10 because he doesn't get as many carries as he did last year. Nick Chubb will take a decent amount of workload from Joe Mixon, but they're going to be a really great 1-2 punch. And I think Joe Mixon is nowhere near past his prime. He's still got a long ways to go in his career, and I think he's going to continue to be as productive as he was in Cincinnati. At the number 8 spot, I have Christian McCaffrey. He dealt with a lot of injuries last year, but the year before, the best running back in the league, had a case for MVP, and in my opinion, he's still a top 10 running back. I can't take him off my top 10 because of 1 year where he had some bad injury luck. If he looks washed up, old, and unable to move after this injury, then he would be out of my top 10. But for now, assuming that he does not come back poorly from his injuries, he comes back like the Christian McCaffrey we know him to be, then there's no reason why he's not a top 10 running back. At the number 7 spot, we have Chuba Hubbard, the Panthers' 1,000-yard runner. Super underrated, not only from Madden-wise, where he gets like an 80 overall after being one of the best running backs in Madden. I mean, in NFL. Don't pay attention to Madden's ratings. They really don't mean anything. But I feel like the NFL landscape and NFL community doesn't talk about this guy enough. He has been incredible the past 2 years. Super underrated. He started off 2 years ago at the end of that season on a hot stretch, and that led into the 2024-2025 season as he was productive. He was a great runner. He was decent out of the backfield, a good check down option for Bryce Young, and I think Chuba Hubbard is a pretty big reason why Bryce Young elevated in the second half of last season. I'm just hoping he can continue to replicate what he showed at the end of last year for Bryce Young, and I think Chuba Hubbard is going to be a big piece for the Panthers moving forward. At the number 6 spot, I have Kiran Williams. Kiran Williams is just a super underrated running back. He goes to work day in, day out. He is a big reason why this Rams offense is where it's at. Because defenses have to account for not only Kiran Williams, but also the passing attack with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And Kiran, he's a hit or miss guy sometimes. There's games where he goes 11 carries for 20 yards. But that's happened to the greats like Derrick Henry. I think that's happened to Saquon before too. So you can't take a few bad games and say he's not a top 10 guy, because he clearly is. At my number 5 spot, I am going to have Josh Jacobs, the Green Bay Packers running back. I'm not going to lie, I wrote this guy off after 2 years ago. He did not have his best year with the Raiders. But now, watching him play on the Packers, I realized it was more of the Raiders being dysfunctional at the time than Josh Jacobs not being a great running back. Because Josh Jacobs, he's a great running back. He just flat out is. Really explosive guy, has good speed, good strength. He's just a reliable running back. He has good traits in every, major part of a running back's game. Good receiver as well. So I think 5 is a fair spot. Now at the number 4 position, I have Bejon Robinson. Bejon Robinson, one of the most fun running backs to watch already in the NFL. He still is young, has plenty of time to get better. I think once Derrick Henry has his end, and if Saquon is done in the next few years, then Bejon would become that face of the league type of running back. He's close to that already. He's just not there yet because there's guys like Saquon and Derrick Henry that are still in the league dominating. But he is close. My 3rd best running back is Jir Gibbs on the Lions. I put an honorable mention to David Montgomery. I just don't think he's top 10. He's very close, but he's not. Jir Gibbs is, in my opinion, the most explosive running back in the league. He has that quick lightning speed. He's like lightning in a bottle. Lightning in a bottle where once you open the bottle, it's just going to zoom out. And that's what Jir Gibbs is. Jir Gibbs is. He is just that speedster, that guy that once you get him on the run, you can't bring him down. And Jir Gibbs, he is one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. At the number 2 spot, I have Derrick Henry, meaning number 1 is obviously going to be Saquon. I'll talk about Derrick Henry first, though. Love Derrick Henry. I think he is obviously the 2nd best running back on the league. That's why he's number 2 in my rankings. This season really surprised me, though, out of Derrick Henry. He was super just incredible this whole year. I was shocked. I thought he would be a guy that got maybe slightly over 1,000 rushing yards, maybe put in 8-9 touchdowns. Wouldn't do, anything extreme. But he had debatably the best year of his career besides the 2,000-yard rushing season. And Derrick Henry is almost 30. I think he might actually be 30. So if he doesn't age poorly, which I don't think he will, then Derrick Henry has a few more years of just being the top guy, right with number 1, Saquon Barkley, who 2,000-yard rushing season, Madden cover, pretty objective first overall pick in fantasy football. Some people would take Jamar Chase. I would take Saquon if I had the number 1 pick. And he's the best running back in our league. You can't really argue about that right now. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. A few quick notes before I end this video. Number 1, in my top 10 receivers video, after watching back, I realized I forgot about Nico Collins. He would likely be in my top 10, or at least an honorable mention. But I guess on that tier list, I just couldn't find him or didn't recognize his face. I don't know what happened. I messed that up. And then for the top 10 running backs video, if Christian McCaffrey comes back and looks like he can't run anymore, a guy that I left out of the honorable mentions, Jonathan Taylor, would take his spot as a top 10. So I'm actually just going to put Jonathan Taylor there, because when I did this list, there was a lot of guys that I wanted to keep in the top 10. And Jonathan Taylor, although he is a great running back, I couldn't, unfortunately, find any room for him. So he's like 8B. If McCaffrey has a down season again like he did last year, then I would take him out for Jonathan Taylor. Or if someone like Aaron Jones shows his age, or even Derrick Henry, one of those guys would be removed for Jonathan Taylor. I just wanted to keep the 10 that I already had planned. But JT would probably replace someone like Christian McCaffrey. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy the content, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new. We have our membership. If you want to join the membership, get some extra perks on the channel. You can use code TrixieOC in the Fortnite item shop if you do play Fortnite. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.